What does the Minecraft wiki look like in your mind's eye? What do you see? If you see an apple, you've done something wrong. The game's reliance on the wiki is something that, believe it or not, I'm not the biggest fan of, but that's just kind of how it is at this point. If you want to learn about redstone, either you defeat an ancient city, find a jungle temple, or you type redstone Minecraft into Google. Which one would you choose? I think I'll call this the wiki problem. That's a story for another time though. What we're interested in today are the results of that search. The top ones are on a website called FANDOM, and they're both terrible. There's instantly a pop-up asking for my age. I'm not sure why the Minecraft wiki is so concerned about that kind of thing, but whatever. The uses section reads like someone just listed everything that redstone can do off the top of their head and called it a day. On the side, there's a bunch of suggestions for random pages like the Wither Storm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's only in Patton Oswalt edition. And I bet you've noticed by now that it looks like we're getting 15 million merits because there's a video ad at the top, banner ads on the sides, and a video ad in the corner, with only a sliver of the information that I actually need. If we go to the second result, I'm a kid now, trust me bro, it's more of the same. There are somehow even more ads than last time. This one has a lot more information, but still doesn't have the crafter in the list of recipes, and the copper bulb is just a question mark? You know, maybe this is like just a fan wiki or something. It is on a website called FANDOM after all. Let's click on the wiki link on this random guy back in 2009. This should take us to the real Oh. It takes us back to FANDOM. This is the real one. And that's such a shame because this is awful. I remember back in the day that the wiki used to actually look professional. How did the wiki go from looking like this to this? How did it end up in the hands of a company like FANDOM? A huge corporation that everybody hates because of their constant urge to suck out as much money from its users as physically possible. And how has the wiki actually been getting way better recently? To find out, let's go over to the wiki from back in 2009. The story starts with the Mojang forum. They had just recently made a little block game that was starting to get kind of popular, and the forum was not equipped to deal with such large swaths of people. So user Citric Squid, at 17 years old, started up an unofficial Minecraft forum. The guy who made the block game said that it was, quote, much better than the official forum, and eventually closed the one on Mojang.com. User Quattro King suggested to Citric Squid that a Minecraft wiki would be super useful to go along with the forum. Citric agreed, so on June 17, 2009, he registered MinecraftWiki.net, set up MediaWiki on it, the software that basically every wiki on Earth uses, and put Quattro in charge of moderating it. Mojang would eventually link to these pages on Minecraft.net, making them the all but official websites for the community. At the beginning, the wiki actually wasn't very useful at all, because the game was still very bare bones. There's only so much you can learn about a piece of stone back then. That was until crafting was added. Recipes were not viewable in-game, so you basically needed the wiki to play survival mode. This meant that the popularity of the wiki was now basically tied to the success of the game, and Minecraft was kinda successful. The more people visiting the website, the more money Citric Squid had to spend on servers. It was so much that he actually ran out of money to rent them multiple times. He got some financial help from Era, who made the first Minecraft server with multiple worlds, by the way, but the wiki was still growing extremely fast. There was a point in 2010 where the average visitors to the site was doubling every single week for 2 months straight. Citric later said that it cost tens of thousands of dollars a month to keep both websites running. They had a big donation drive at one point, which raised about $3,500. Since it was starting to get kind of sketchy, and they really didn't want to beg people for money again, he had to add an ad, which was a tad sad, but that was all they had. Because the ad generated revenue, they also registered a company called Redstone Wire Limited to manage that revenue. At this point, stresses were really high. We were still suffering from fast rising traffic and costs, things that we couldn't keep up with. WedTM, Era, and myself, all volunteers, were the only people involved with the day-to-day operations. WedTM with a full job of his own, Era with a business to run, and myself with technical incompetence. 3 volunteers running sites that were now bigger than Stack Overflow. Can you imagine the pressure of hosting something so essential to this game? Who knows how long they can keep this up? If the game gets even more popular, then what the hell are they gonna do? Oh. Hello? You want to buy the wiki and the forum? 2 months after Redstone Wire was created, they were contacted by Donovan Duncan, content director at Curse LLC. At the time, Curse's big competitor, Wikia, was making some very anti-consumer decisions. They had just forced every single wiki on their site to switch their skin from this to this, Oasis. It's got locked width, way less customization, a bunch of bullshit you don't care about, and overall, it felt like Wikia was trying to drag you away from the actual wiki that you're looking at. Nobody asked for this, nothing was broken, but they fixed it anyway. And by it, I mean the width. Shortly after Oasis was revealed, the extremely large World of Warcraft wiki was looking to leave, and they decided to go over to Curse. With this victory, Curse was ready to make some money moves, one of which was to make absolutely sure that the huge Minecraft wiki wouldn't go over to Wikia during its financial troubles. Donovan would offer to buy the wiki and the forum from Redstone Wire, and hire all 3 members of the company to work at Curse. The big company would take care of running the backend, and the Redstone Wire employees could focus on the community. So the choice for Citric was either to keep going on this independent path with no clear way forward, not knowing if the wiki would still exist for the next month, not knowing if the game would grow more over the next couple years, spoiler, it would, and overall just keep a ton of pressure on the shoulders of this 18-year-old kid, or they could just say yes to Donovan. Which one would you choose? I think I'll call this the Donovan problem. Needless to say, the deal went through. Curse LLC was now the owner of the wiki. Redstone Wire Limited would permanently dissolve less than a year later. Makes sense since the only websites they owned after that were MinecraftMuseum.net and MinecraftServers.com, 2 websites that I've not even heard of. For the next 2 years, Curse would own and operate the Minecraft wiki basically like normal. Some of the moderators were swapped around, some small things were changed, but from the outside, nothing really happened. The only evidence of Curse's involvement was at the bottom here with their little standard Curse footer. One thing Curse did do was sign a deal with Mojang, making the wiki officially official. In practical terms, this just means that Mojang could now list it on the website as the official wiki. And a year later, they changed the header on the Minecraft wiki as well. From the ultimate source on information about Minecraft to the official resource on information about Minecraft. Wow, 1.5 words. Incredible. The point is that this was some ethical usage of the wiki. I really respect them for not changing it very much and working to make it official. Curse would acquire a bunch of other wikis in this time too. By September of 2012, they were hosting 26 wikis for games like 2D Minecraft, Medieval Minecraft, Radioactive Minecraft, and not as popular as Minecraft. They had a ton of very big wikis under their belt, and they wanted to grow it even more. However, it was getting pretty hard to keep doing that with their hands-on approach. Each wiki acquisition seemed like a very personal task, and they can't do that forever. If they wanted to compete with a company like Wikia, something was gonna have to change. So in 2012, Curse came out with Hydra, a custom build of the MediaWiki software, which was designed to host a bunch of wikis with only one base. Oh, I see why they called it that. They wouldn't have to update each wiki individually anymore, and instead would just update one server running Hydra and call it a day. This made each wiki way less personal to deal with, so they could have a lot more wikis if they wanted to. Because of this revelation, they put Hydra into their own wiki hosting service called Gamepedia. You could go to Gamepedia.com and suggest a wiki to exist, and if they got enough suggestions and a lot of possible staff members, and the employees at Curse personally liked it, and you guessed the number of jelly beans in this magic jar, they would make it happen. They would all be hosted on Gamepedia.com with a subdomain of which game it was. So in September of 2013, the Minecraft wiki was now hosted on the much clunkier URL of minecraft.gamepedia.com. It was even worse if you didn't speak English, because the link would include the language in it. So Germans would have to go to minecraft-de.gamepedia.com. For reference, here's my credit card number. Even though it was on a new website, all of the old links would still work, but they would redirect to the relevant page on Gamepedia. Okay, so for recap, Gamepedia is the name of the hosting service for all of the Gamepedia wikis, which uses Hydra as its custom build of MediaWiki. All of the wikis are hosted on Gamepedia the website, and also Gamepedia is a department inside of Curse Media, which is a department inside of the overall company of Curse LLC. It's really quite simple. Curse Media also had departments like the Curse Network, which ran the forums for many games, including the Minecraft forum, and also Curse Entertainment, which covered live events, and some other insane stuff that I'll put in this footnote. Hydra came out in September of 2012, and in 8 months they were hosting 10 times the amount of wikis that they had before. This meant that Gamepedia wasn't just a wiki hoster, they practically had a whole farm full of wikis, which is why anytime a bunch of wikis are together in one place it's called a wiki farm. Unless it's a wiki zoo, of course. This isn't bad per se, but now the Minecraft wiki is suddenly a small part of a huge wiki farm. Even though it was the most popular wiki on Gamepedia, it was still one out of hundreds of wikis. Only so much care and attention can go around. The Minecraft wiki was officially moved over to Gamepedia on Thursday, September 19th, 2013, directly after Minecraft's peak popularity. So most people remember the wiki looking kinda like this, either owned by Curse or already on Gamepedia. Curse was one of the most professional video game companies on the internet at the time. They had a multi-channel network, a TeamSpeak competitor, an esports team, you know those old MC Spotlight videos? They made those, and they still operate CurseForge for modding to this day, through their current corporate overlord, Overwolf. And Curse, for the most part, was doing pretty kinda okay, I guess, at it. There was some stuff about Bucket, which is a story for another time. They had this gigantic right sidebar just to show tweets from Mojang for some reason. It took them 2 years to remove that, by the way. Most of us were kids at the time though, and I know that I never noticed any of that stuff. I just used the wiki and didn't really think twice about it. They were able to do basically everything on the internet, and I felt like they were pretty trustworthy. It almost seems like they were just the classic fast-growing tech company which was able to make people love them by just burning tons of money in hopes that a big corporation would buy them out of the massive debt that they're in and teach them how to make money while burning all their goodwill, and the founder gets to go into retirement and become an angel investor at the age of 36. And that's exactly what happened. In 2016, there was this small mom-and-pop company called Twitch Interactive Incorporated, owned by Amazon, and they would buy Curse LLC and all of its subsidiaries. So now, Jeffrey Pissbottle Bezos owns the Minecraft Wiki and the Minecraft Forum. Most people don't really remember this time in the Minecraft community because 2016 to 2018 was kind of the dark ages for Minecraft. This was when a lot of the quantity mobs were being added with no reason to ever interact with them. This was also when the knowledge book was added to the game, which made the wiki's big role in providing crafting recipes now completely irrelevant. Being owned by Amazon wasn't actually that big of a deal for the wiki. They didn't really change much over there. They messed up some fonts on the forums, which would be really annoying if you were using old forum posts for a video or something. Who would do that? And they made all of the login systems across the website sync with Twitch, because why not? I assume that Citric Squid was forced at gunpoint to post this super cringy corporate press release bullshit. Get your PogChamp emote ready, you're gonna need it. God damn, I'm so sorry. But overall, it wasn't terrible for them. Twitch's main gig at the time was doing stuff for the Curse client, renamed Twitch app, which if you ever used, you'll know was a hellspawn abomination from the very start. They really wanted this to work though, so the wiki was mostly spared. The Twitch app lasted till 2022, and then it was zapped from existence, and they've scrubbed all mention of it from everywhere. But I don't forget. I never forget. Man, it's kind of weird that they didn't mess with the wiki though. I wonder if there was some kind of ulterior motive to this purchase. Knock knock. It's FANDOM Incorporated. With huge vaults. With money. Money vaults. Open your wallets. Stop having them be closed. In 2018, FANDOM bought the entire Curse media department from Twitch. This meant that Curse was basically now split in two, with the wikis and forums going over to FANDOM, while CurseForge and the Twitch app would stay at Twitch. If you're wondering what the hell FANDOM was doing this whole entire time, well, surprise, surprise, FANDOM is just the new name for our old friend Wikia. That's right, the company that made such anti-consumer decisions that Curse used that hatred to propel their own business. The people that made a design so terrible that the biggest wiki that they owned left days after it was revealed. The people who just a year earlier had implemented auto-playing video ads that were so obnoxious that they convinced the RuneScape wiki to jump ship and pay for the wiki themselves rather than FANDOM. Those are the same people that just bought every single wiki on Gamepedia. Yay! I guess in the long run, Wikia eventually did get hold of the Minecraft wiki. But wait a minute. How does a random company like FANDOM just buy an entire department from Amazon? They don't exactly just put it up on the website for Prime Day. Maybe Mr. Bezos was just feeling super generous that day. Or maybe it's because Amazon invested a fuck ton of money into Wikia in 2006. How much money, we don't know for sure, but Amazon says that they were the sole investor in Series B, and according to Crunchbase, Wikia got $10 million in Series B. So I think that fuck ton is a good ballpark. It's great to know that FANDOM and Amazon are great friends. That's just awesome. You know, they're just best buds, you know? They're just out here facing the world. They're just going together, they're soulmates, they love each other, they're kissing, they're hugging, they're cuddling. We love to see it. Very coincidentally, just a couple months before this purchase, FANDOM was acquired by Integrated Media Company, which is a company inside of the Texas Pacific Group, a private equity firm. If you don't know what the hell private private equity is and why it's so firm, well, neither did I before making this video. Basically, it's like House Flipper, but for millionaires. A bunch of rich assholes form Ultron in order to take out a loan and buy a Silicon Valley company that doesn't know how to make money. Then they desperately try to increase that company's value as fast as possible to pay back the loan. And at the end of it, the firm doesn't owe any money to the bank, and they now own a huge tech company. The rich asshole at the rich asshole helm in buying Fandom was Jonathan Miller, who worked at such fun-loving companies as Viacom and News Corporation. If you wanted to know what his business strategy is, in 2004, he spent hundreds of millions of dollars at AOL to buy a website called advertising.com. Advertising.com. The writing was on the wall the whole time, guys. Jesus Christ. Basically, if you thought that Amazon wanted money, these guys are even worse. And they now control every Gamepedia wiki in existence. TPG has partnered with a lot of great, amazing brands in the past, like Illusion, all college kids just shuddered, Airbnb, Uber, Toast Credit Card, and fucking Burger King. They're the progenitors of such great ideas as the Whopper Bar. According to the president of marketing, they are like Pimp My Ride, but for burgers? Shut the fuck up. Hey Burgerista, can you pimp my Whopper with some extra guacamole, please? Thank you, thank you. What were we talking about? Oh, right. While they bought the whole department of cursed media from Twitch, it seems like they were only really in it for the wikis. The Minecraft forum was so starved for funds that just 4 months after the sale, they announced that the entire website was getting archived. In response, Mojang removed the Woo Minecraft forum splash text as it wouldn't make sense anymore. Just 4 days before it was about to be archived, the Minecraft forum was sold to Magic Find, which is still where it is today. Very sadly, Mojang never re-added the splash text. This would be the fate of many of the non-wiki properties bought by Fandom in late 2018, either rotted to death or sold to another company. This is very standard private equity type stuff. If it's losing them a single cent of money, it's gonzo. I mean, they've got to pay the bank back somehow. For the actual wikis though, they wanted to keep those around. The sale happened in late 2018, and all of the Gamepedia wikis would stay on their old websites for a while. Over the next 2 years, they would slowly merge all the wikis together, and this came to a culmination on November 4th, 2021, when Fandom announced that all Gamepedia and Fandom wikis on the desktop were getting forcibly merged, whether they liked it or not. As we covered earlier, Wikia, Fandom, already had a ton of wikis on it. This included an alternative Minecraft wiki on minecraft.fandom.com. So which one was the real one? Well, the Gamepedia one was, because it was actually officially official, and since it was the more updated and recognized one too, the Fandom wiki had to just kind of suck it up and join the Gamepedia wiki. The old Fandom wiki would be archived and moved to minecraft-archive.fandom.com, and the Gamepedia wiki would be moved to minecraft.fandom.com, becoming the new Fandom wiki. Any links to minecraftwiki.net or minecraft.gamepedia.com or minecraft.wikia.com would redirect to the relevant page on the new Fandom wiki. And these are the two search results that we saw in the beginning. And wow, isn't this just beautiful? Wow, it's just like, it's stunning. Like a stun gun. I mean, look at this fucking website. It's basically Pimp My Ride, but for advertisements. The website is slow, there are dumbass quizzes and tabs and sidebars and video ads and recommended pages and a bunch of other more shit trying to steal your attention away from what's actually on the wiki. And overall, just looking at this thing just makes me sad, man. The wiki is supposed to be about giving information to the public. It's supposed to be an online encyclopedia. Imagine you open up an encyclopedia and right where the information you want is, you see a big fucking ad. I think that it's important that information remains free and accessible to everyone, and a company like Fandom completely flies in the face of that. And while yes, Fandom does make creating a wiki more accessible, their actions are repeatedly going in the direction of making the actual information on the wiki less accessible. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think that Fandom is out here trying to make the world better. They're not trying to improve upon the wiki format. They're a for-profit company owned by a private equity firm. I think that maybe, guys, they're trying to make money. I'm not sure though. This taxi does look pretty normal to me. I want to say that I understand that all wikis can't be this perfect no-ad utopia like Wikipedia is, but you can sustainably run a wiki on ads and not have it look like this, okay? There's a point where the ads go from, oh, we're just doing this to support the server costs, to we're doing this because we want money, and I think Fandom has far surpassed that point. I mean, profitability was basically the pitch when Fandom was started. Jimmy Wales, the one and only founder of Wikipedia, definitely trust me bro, was sitting around in the dense jungle surrounding his house and asked himself, what if I could make money off of this? The answer was probably, that would be shit. And so WikiCities was born. It was a playoff of GeoCities. GeoCities allowed people with very little coding experience to start their own website, and in the same way, WikiCities would help people start their own wiki. They were born in the era where people still knew what the hell GeoCities was, and are still around today, slowly but surely turning the internet into an increasingly locked down place. Not a place where anyone can be themselves, but a place where only large corporations can be themselves. The wiki represents the idyllic internet of hope and free information and connection and independence, and fandom represents the actual internet that we live in, one of large corporations, walled gardens, and a lot of advertisements. And sometimes it can feel like we just have to kind of ride the wave, take the beating, and continue to feel utterly powerless as a citizen of the internet. But luckily for us, though, there is something we can do about it. This wiki, Minecraft.fandom.com, is not technically the official wiki. There is no official wiki anymore. When it came time for Dremel to renew the contract on that, they instead said fuck off and gave them a huge list of demands. I hope those 1.5 words were worth it. If you want to draw a direct line from the original Minecraft wiki from 2009 to this fandom one, well, that's what we've just done. It's all the same wiki, it's just changed owners a million times. That's why this link from 2009 still works to get you to the wiki. However, if we look at the search results from earlier, we actually see a mysterious third wiki. This one's on a completely different website, Minecraft.wiki. It looks much more like Wikipedia. It's all up to date, and all of the recipes are there. And, I mean, holy shit. I mean, look at it. There's no ads. The entire screen is not full of ads. This is crazy. I didn't know this was possible. This one is so much better. What the hell? Why is this the third result? Why does the fandom wiki still exist when this one seems to be way better? To understand that, we need to understand how these wikis even work. In this video, I've said a bunch of times that somebody owns the wiki, but what I really mean is that they own the responsibility to run the web servers that the wiki is hosted on. They control the wiki branding, and they own the domain that it's hosted on. Much to fandom's chagrin, you cannot purchase a fact. What is actually on the wiki in terms of text is up to the people. Because of this, the people on the Minecraft wiki were starting to have some conversations about maybe leaving fandom. And right when nobody expected him, Grimace struck. Yes, that one, I'm serious. On June 14th, 2023, Dawns rizzed up fandom with their level 3 yacht and some phantom tax to goon all over the McDonald's main Skibbity page with a shill-maxing advert for the Grimace Shake. The red-pilled Sigmas at the wiki were forced to gobble glizzies while the Shadow Wizard Money Gang was just putting ads in the bag the Aki way, which made them very sus of the ops, losing them a ton of aura. This was the final straw. If you understood what I just said, please go outside today. This was the final straw for a lot of people, as it signified to every community on fandom that there was now nothing left that was sacred to them. Any part of the wiki, even a locked front page, could now be forcibly changed into an advertisement with little notice. While this was unlikely to happen to a game like Minecraft, it's the precedent that was concerning. Now, what even is the point of the wiki anymore? The entire thing belongs to fandom, they just changed it. With the fuel of the Grimace incident, people were even more willing to hear people out about ditching this fucking place. This had already gotten a lot of traction in the Discord server, and since they were actually being really serious this time, they moved the conversation over to a discussion page on the wiki for input from people who didn't use Discord. It's time to get out of here. But, how do you do that, actually? Believe it or not, fandom actually has a whole page about how you can just pack up and leave. It's called forking, because spooning was already taken, and it's the process of starting a new version off of the base of the old one. However, when you fork, they have 3 big rules. You can't destroy the old wiki, you can't advertise the new wiki on the old one, and the admins can only admin one of them. These are all things that make leaving fandom way harder, as the old fandom wiki has to still exist and compete with whatever new wiki you make. These rules are kind of just the natural thing that people would do if it was an actual fork, where both wikis are actively in development. But if you want to move the whole wiki off of fandom, they make that hard. And then at the bottom of the page, they have a final plea to, oh please, please stay on fandom though, it's really hard to leave. Because we say so. So a referendum was opened. Basically, rank your top choices for forking, with staying on fandom being an option too. Now that this was actually serious, everyone could express their real feelings about fandom. Fandom is terrible, and anything else would be an upgrade. The constant ads, as well as the intrusive sidebar, make it very annoying to use the site. The wiki host is becoming less and less stable, controversial innovations are being imposed, and
What has been broken for a long time is not updated or deleted. The sea of advertising, there's an aggressive propagandistic nature of the advertising itself, de-anonymization of age for the sake of advertising. As a result, this is no longer a wiki farm, this is an advertising platform. There's a sense of security and stability under Gamepedia that I don't think is carried over with the migration to Fandom. Fandom's actions demonstrate that it cares about profits over quality and editor freedom, to the detriment of this wiki. It's time to go. Overall, as long as we forked up somewhere other than Fandom, I'm gonna be happy with the result.
So while the best option wasn't clear, the worst option definitely was. So if nothing else, the fork was gonna happen. But where the fork do we fork to? That's a forking good question. They could essentially choose any wiki farm that they wanted, but there were 4 main options. Wiki.gg is a very popular fandom alternative. They host almost 1,000 wikis currently, including ones for games like Terraria, Risk of Rain, Ultrakill, and of course, Hello Kitty Island Adventure. A lot of people liked them because they're run by former Gamepedia employees, including our old friend Donovan Duncan. But that kind of just shows that this option, at the end of the day, is just another corporate wiki farm, and it'd be kind of weird to say yes to Donovan once again. Maybe going over there would make this whole thing happen all over again. For something less corporate, they also considered ABXY, who hosts Strategy Wiki. This is their website, and this isn't even Web 1.0, this is like CERN. They barely have any branding at all, just this little powered by Strategy Wiki thing at the bottom. It's almost too little corporate oversight, as they don't even have a global content delivery network. All of the pages are hosted in America, making the websites way slower for the rest of the world, especially with the huge traffic that the Minecraft wiki has. There's also Bulba Garden, which hosts the Pokemon wiki on Bulbapedia. They've allegedly denied buyout offers from Fandom multiple times over, though I couldn't find any concrete evidence of this, and they have a lot of experience in the field. However, they don't allow for anonymous editing, which is a deal breaker for many people. And one company actually reached out to them, Weird Gloop. Their name and logo are based on a RuneScape item of the same name. Remember how the RuneScape wiki left Fandom because of the video ads? This is them. While there were some bad things about them, like their weirdness with which widgets one could wield, they also had a lot of advantages. It's a small company, their website is fast and reliable, they have full-time system admins, and are very transparent about their business practices. They also put their money where their mouth is and bought the domain that they would get if they switched over to Weird Gloop. They are very much like Curse in that way, doing everything that they could to make sure that they were the main pick. And while researching for this video, they seem to just be very professional in the way that they operate their business. Like, it really looks like they know what they're doing. All these options have their own ups and downs, with Weird Gloop slightly in the lead, but there's an unavoidable problem with all of them, which goes back to where we started this whole thing: search results. Basically, from what I understand, there's this thing called SEO, Search Engine Optimization. It's basically a bunch of things that you can do to try to get your website to show up higher in the search results. Being on the first page is very powerful, and being the first link is the goal. How do you increase your SEO? That's the funny thing. Nobody fucking knows! Okay, well, Google has an article about SEO with some general tips, but as far as some magical way to be at the top, that doesn't exist, because if it did, everyone would do it. Companies pay big money to people called SEO specialists, whose sole purpose in life is to optimize websites for search engines. It generally seems to prioritize bigger, interconnected websites with more content and more links that more visitors spend more time on. And it just so happens that Fandom is in the top 50 most visited websites in the world. I don't think you understand. Fandom is more popular than the fucking weather. As we saw earlier, that means that it very often gets put at the top of search results, despite being worse than the other options. This was the biggest fear before the merge, that even if they went through all the work of moving the wiki to another website, the Fandom results would snuff them out and it would all be for nothing. However, one of these companies has actually been able to beat Fandom in the search results, and that's Weird Gloop. The RuneScape wikis have had some success with overtaking Fandom in the results, and that was super valuable. With all of its advantages, once Weird Gloop was on the table, it was very quickly the favorite of the people on the wiki. A big vote was held, and it was decided that Weird Gloop would be the host of the new Minecraft wiki. To make sure that it would be easier if they ever had to do this again, the people at the Minecraft wiki have a list of agreements with Weird Gloop. This is written for everyone to see on the Minecraft meta wiki, link in the description of course. Basically, if either party wants out, they can leave. Weird Gloop will give the Minecraft.wiki domain to someone trustworthy in the community, give them all of the data contained in the wiki, and they can do basically whatever they want with it. Now, all there is left to do is move everything once again. On September 24th, 2023, the wiki was officially forked to Minecraft.wiki. While the Fandom wiki does still exist, almost all of the people who worked on the Fandom wiki moved over to the new one. In practice, this means that it basically looks incomplete compared to the Minecraft wiki, especially when it comes to new features. It's been a little more than a year now since the wiki forked, and they've actually been doing way better than they were on Fandom. They recently put out an article about their first year being independent, and it shows that, believe it or not, being on a website that doesn't bombard you with gigantic ads every single millisecond makes people want to visit you more. It's kind of crazy, I know. And while, as we saw earlier, a lot of those search results still have Fandom on top, for most of the new features, the new wiki wins. Much like what happened earlier with Redstone Wire Limited, there is now a company that manages the wiki, Block and Quill Limited. They have 2 permanent positions, as well as 5 elected board member positions that go up for election every single year using Schultz method ranked choice voting because they're fucking nerds. I don't really know how that works, but I assume CGP Grey will make a video on it any year now. Some people are still over on the Fandom wiki, just keeping vandalism at bay and adding stuff very slowly, and that's fine. And I should mention, please don't vandalize any of the wikis I've mentioned in this video. An actual human being is gonna have to go and fix that. Vandalizing the actual wikis doesn't hurt Fandom at all, so please don't do it. If you do want to hurt Fandom though, the best way to do that is to stop using their website. You can do that by just not choosing it in the search results, or there's a Chrome extension called IndieWikiBot. It redirects from all Fandom wikis to their independent alternatives. Not sponsored, it's just a good extension. Doesn't matter if it's Minecraft or RuneScape or any of these games, it'll redirect you to the right place. So looking up Redstone Minecraft will look like this instead, with the link grayed out and a link to the same article on the independent wiki. It'll actually rearrange the search results for you, which was kind of annoying when making this exact video, but it'll probably be useful to you in normal gameplay. There's also a mod that has been made for the actual game that opens a tab on the wiki for the blocker item that you're looking at when you press H. Not quite my tempo, but I figured I should mention it. And also, I want to mention that if you're interested in more of the history of the wiki, including a bunch of stuff that I couldn't include here, you should go check out this page on the wiki about it. It was super useful while researching this video to get the general vibe of the situation at any given time, and the guy who made the page, Tree is Life, was super helpful and looked over the script for me. While we're talking about people going over the script, I also want to thank Heuristic for going over the part about the fork. They both offered a lot of personal experience with this wiki, and I really appreciate them for giving their time to help me out. Hi, I wanted to get this video out before Christmas, but that didn't happen, because I'm recording it on Christmas Day right now. So let's just pretend that the set was decorated for Kwanzaa, okay? I really appreciate everything that I've been able to do this year on this channel. It has been great seeing that people actually like something that I do. I wasn't trained in video editing, I wasn't ever trained in writing or anything. I just kind of learned it myself, and people like it. It means the world to me, seriously. Like, it's insane. It's insane. And yeah, and I don't know what to say, really. I just said I would turn on the camera and just start talking, but I don't really know what to say. This is gonna be hell to edit, sorry time. Anyway, thank you, seriously. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Merry Kwanzaa. This set is decorated for Kwanzaa, of course. Definitely. It's just be on the lookout for more stuff from me. I love making videos. I want to keep making videos. I'm excited for the future of this channel. Happy winter solstice celebration, whatever one you have in your culture. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to open the presents, you know. Hey, that's nice.